Two, one. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Delusions of Grandeur, where it's Boris
Hi.
and Dave. We're back again. Um, uh, this time with another Christmas tale for you. And it comes from 2016. And it's called the film that we decided to go on and discuss is Better Watch Out. Filmed in 2016, directed by Chris Peckover. But before we get into our first impressions, I figured I'd go on and tell you what IMDb says about the movie. On a quiet suburban street, a babysitter must defend a 12-year-old boy from intruders, only to discover it's far from a normal home invasion. So, what were your first impressions of this film?
Oh my. Well, I must say it was definitely different from what I expected because IMDb lists the movie as a comedy, crime, and horror. And to me, it definitely wasn't a comedy. Horror, well, maybe not so much since it didn't have anything supernatural and no visible gore on screen, but I would rather call it a thriller. But as a thriller, I think it's a very good movie. It's very suspenseful. I mean, like I said, I thought it would be a comedy, so I expected a completely different thing, but I definitely enjoyed it. It was keeping me on edge until the end. It was really very good.
So are you glad that we went on about it?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, it's got some similar tendencies to Home Alone just a little bit. In fact, they even mention Home Alone in the film. So I guess I would consider this into the slasher genre of sorts, except it's like as if you put like The Good Son meets like Christmas Evil or something like that,
Oh,
or Silent Night, Deadly Night, or something like that. Except without someone dressing up like a Santa Claus. But there was a
yeah.
Santa Claus in there.
In a way, yeah. Well, yes, I was reminded of The Good Son while watching this movie, and well, spoiler alert. Well, we do say it in every video, but yeah, we are really going to make serious spoilers now, and I'm saying that because merely comparing this movie to The Good Son already kind of spoils it for those who have seen The Good Son but haven't seen this one.
Well, back in 2016, when this came to video, I know I picked it up like maybe a month or two after Christmas. I'm not always able to keep up with all the releases that come out, but I did eventually pick it up. There was some buzz about it at the time when it came out, at least on the IndieWire, and I guess every group that when there's a new movie that comes out, every Facebook group ends up like posting it like, I got this, well, finally I decided to go pick it up. So and that was a couple of years ago when I watched it, and I was fairly surprised about it. I mean, at first I thought it was trying to do too much towards a Home Alone vibe, but then I thought about like old school like R.L. Stein books when it came to the Babysitter trilogy or the Babysitter series, and I was like, maybe it's more like the Christopher Pike Silent Night, Deadly Night books or whatnot, But
Yeah.
you get this 17-year-old babysitter. It apparently it is her last night, and we have an interesting cast here. We have Olivia DeLonge, Levi Miller, and Ed Oxenbould, um, who play the main characters. And then we got Alex Mikic playing Ricky, Daker or Dacker Montgomery playing Jeremy, and Patrick Warburton and Virginia Madsen playing Robert and Deandra Lerner. So Luke is the 12-year-old that I swear to God he was 10 years old in here or something. Well, actually, maybe he's more like a 14 or 15-year-old.
Actually, I checked on IMDb. He was born in 2002. So if the movie was filmed in 2016, he was probably 14 or something.
Yeah,
Or
they're about. But he was passing for a 12-year-old or a 12-year-old in here. So
yeah,
so evidently his parents have gone to a Christmas party, correct? Or something
they
like that.
did go somewhere. I didn't catch what they said where they were going. I forgot what they said.
I don't think that they really said where they were going. All we know is that in the very beginning, Luke and his friend Garrett are discussing apparently their evening's festivities until his mother comes into the room, and then leave, and then Garrett's got to change up his tune. um,
Yeah.
what do you think about this very beginning part where we meet his parents and meet them too, and this beginning part up until the part where we see the babysitter driving in her car?
Oh, well, it looked rather innocent at the beginning, and yeah, it kind of did make it seem like it was going to be a comedy of some sort. Although the part where Luke was saying how he was hoping to fuck his babysitter and how he was completely serious about it, that was a bit weird, but yeah, I still didn't expect things to turn out the way they did.
Well, yeah. Apparently, his normal babysitter is coming to babysit him for one last time before she goes off to college and stuff like that. And we realize that, and her name in here is Ashley. Um, she is arguing with her current boyfriend about her current situation, and it's like she's come to an impasse in her life where she's got to decide what's more important in her life, to further her career and focus on her career instead of the relationship prattle. So
Yeah.
what do you think about Ashley when we first meet her?
Well, she looks pretty nice, definitely. But when it comes to her personality, actually, uh, as far if you paid attention to some details that I happen to notice, I actually think that, well, aside from the situation that we were following in this movie, I actually got the impression that she wasn't really quite a great person because we saw her give Ricky a silent treatment over the phone, which by now is well known that it's not a very good thing to do to someone you supposedly care about. So that was something that put me a bit off her character, although yeah, that's not supposed to be a too relevant part of this particular story, but yeah, that was something that made me think that of all the victims in this movie, she was maybe the least innocent. But yeah,
Well, yeah, she does kind of come off as this highfalutin cheerleader, kind of popular girl or whatnot, and apparently, Luke has heard some of the gossip that has been swung around town or whatnot, and evidently, as she said later on, she's known him since he was 8 years old. So um, I mean, I've been a kid and had a crush on people myself. So a long time ago. I mean, every kid has their crush,
yeah.
or their first crushes, their second crushes, their third crushes. I know your crush, but but I remember when I was 8 and I had a crush on a teacher, and her name was Miss Todd, and she was an assistant teacher, and she was just really pretty. And that being said, that's all I'm going to say about that.
Fair
But
enough, I can imagine.
well, we just worked really close together, and I hadn't really, I don't know, hung out with too many females at that point in time. So it was like really honorable to be working close by a female, But in
Yeah.
any case, 8 years old, you get the idea. But in any case, moving on to well, let's look at Luke as a character. What do you think about him?
Well, actually, I must say, I think although this movie is, it did a really good job at portraying the intended suspense of the story and everything, but I think it kind of failed to properly portray the psychology of Luke. That was one thing I wanted to say, because if you really analyze his actions in certain moments, there seem to be some inconsistencies about him.
Like,
Like, for example, we find out that he killed Garrett's hamster, but at the same time, well, not at the same time, but we have two scenes where he catches a spider and doesn't kill it. Now, the first time he does it and he says something like, "Why kill it? He did nothing wrong," like the spider, which at that point you might think he didn't want to kill it because he wanted to impress Ashley with how nice he is. But then there is another scene where Ashley isn't there and he doesn't do the same thing, like he genuinely didn't want to kill the spider, but then we find out that he killed a hamster, and he does what he does in the movie. So to me, that seemed like a contradiction. Or also, apparently, the whole thing he did in this movie was because he had a crush on Ashley and she turned him down. But then at the end, there is a scene where he is alone with her and she is tied up. And in that scene, you would, after everything he did, you would kind of expect him to try to actually do something of that nature to her, like
well,
to
I
try to.
imagine I imagine that Luke had or has this like huge crush on her, and he doesn't know how to get her to um, recognize that he is an available male of the species, and so he thinks that by doing some of the things that he knows that she's done with like some of her boyfriends or whatnot. I imagine as being a kid growing up, seeing her interact with some of. I mean, I imagine that she's babysat for him tons of times. You know, so
Yes.
at least that's what it appears to be. So this is an 8-year-old kid that grew up around her and probably grew to fancy her to an extent where it was only one-sided, and it was just too powerful of an emotion for him not to try to get her attention somehow. So I think that he interacted a plan with his friend to get laid, basically.
Uh, yeah,
Basically,
yeah, that part did make sense to me. Uh,
only he added some elements that I think that didn't play out the way he thought they would.
maybe, yeah.
Like inviting her current boyfriend over. That was
Well, well, actually, it was him who invited Ricky. He took Ashley's phone and texted him on her behalf.
yeah, but Garrett didn't know that. It wasn't part of
Oh,
the original plan
Garrett, yeah, yeah.
because I imagine that Garrett knew part of the plan to, which is why when he was found out, you know, that's what happened.
Well, as far as I understood, I think Garrett only thought they were going to scare Ashley and try to get her interested in Luke because Luke was supposed to act like a hero and so on. But I think Garrett didn't expect any serious harm to be done.
Correct. So, well, let's look at the plots. So apparently, um, they are supposed to be alone together. Um, and as we know, she keeps having phone conversations with Ricky. Um, and I guess I did kind of like how Virginia Madsen, her character, the mother, is said, "Now don't watch too many horror films. You know what it does to you."
Uh,
And what do they do?
Yeah, well, I don't really think movies can make a person do what Luke did unless they have it in themselves.
Right. But in any case, Luke starts to drink some what was it? Champagne? It looked like
It's
champagne.
champagne, yeah, I think.
Yeah. So he does that to see if he could impress her. And she basically tells him, you know, if you're trying to impress me, that doesn't really impress me. What do you think about that little moment where he's trying to, you know, cozy up to her?
Well, I guess it's kind of stereotypical behavior of a young teenager trying to impress a girl.
And then, what did you think about the pizza with mushrooms?
Well, actually, that had me a bit confused at first before I knew what was going to happen. Like, I thought the supposed intruder was doing that to screw around with them before starting to do some more serious shit. But then, when we found out what was really going on, I don't know. I guess Luke did that precisely to make Ashley think that someone from the outside is messing around with them.
Well, and they did a pretty good job of that. Although I don't know how they got a noise to happen while they were both inside the house. You know.
Oh, yeah, yeah. that one scene when even Garrett was with them and some noise was heard, and that made me wonder. As when I was watching it for the second time with you, and I already knew who was behind it all, that scene did make me wonder how they made that noise happen.
Well, and it seemed like Ashley really did get scared while all these noises were happening, and then the back door was open, and they kept hearing noise. There was a shadow in the window.
Yeah.
Ultimately, she took them upstairs, and she found the attic stairs that they could hide in the attic. And I like this little scene here because that's when you get him hiding somewhere, and then all of a sudden the spider like crawls all over her body, and you see it crawl over her face.
Oh, yeah.
And she screams like, "Get it off of me! Get it off of me!"
Yeah, actually, and she also asks him why he didn't want to kill the spider, and that's another moment when I got the impression that she was a bit of an insensitive person, and some small details like that kind of made me think that she, in spite of being the main character and a victim in this case, that she wasn't really a great person in general.
Well, I wouldn't say that because every single time that there's a spider in my house, my fiance says, "Spider, spider, spider." So she
uh,
expects me to kill it.
well, I must admit I'm not fond of them myself either, but I don't necessarily demand for them to be killed. If they can just be taken out, that's good enough for me.
Oh well, there is a moment where I was okay. My my fiance's father, he's got this mobile home, and this was when like within the first couple of years that we were going out, and we spent the night up there, and we got in for the night, and all of a sudden Tammy said, "Spider, spider," and I'm looking at this big ass spider that's like hanging like over the bed, and it's overly creepy. And if she hadn't have noticed it, I might not have minded sleeping under it, but um, I noticed it too. So it was like more or less not an eek moment, but definitely a okay. I don't really think I want them kind of eyes watching me in bed. So,
Yeah.
and it was huge. It was like this big.
Oh, was that with or without legs?
That was with legs.
I mean, the size that you showed, was it just the size of the body or of
It was with legs.
oh, oh, I get it.
So I ended up having to take a broom to it, and when we talked to her father in the morning about it, he was like, "What? It wasn't harming anyone." I knew it was there. It's there to catch all the bugs and shit, you know. And he's like, I hardly ever sleep in that room, anyways. So I thought
Yeah.
nothing of it. And he kept saying, "You such babies," or something like that. But it wasn't that it bothered me or anything like that. That it was just like Okay, so there's a spider, but Tammy was freaking out.
Well, I understand. Like I said, I don't really like them either. What I was just saying is that if I was in such a situation, I wouldn't necessarily want it to be killed as long as it can be put out of my room. That's good
or
enough.
or put out of its misery in some other fashion where I'm not seeing it.
Not necessarily.
But in any case, so after shortly after that is when she finds out and recognizes apparently Luke's mask, which is over Garrett's face, and that's when the whole thing was found out. You know that they were trying to scare her and junk, and shortly after that is when when Luke knocked her down the stairs, and she ended up waking up tied to a chair. What did you think about those couple of moments?
Well, actually, uh, well, definitely it was very suspenseful and everything, but I thought it was a little bit unrealistic because when he smacked her in the face and knocked her down the stairs, it's not like he could have predicted that she would necessarily survive that. I mean, she could have died, and then what?
True, but then we wouldn't have another half of the movie to play out.
Well, yeah, that's my point. It was like he had the whole thing planned out in advance, but he didn't seemingly take in count the
Well, yeah,
possibility that she might not
well, yeah,
survive.
like in
I'm sorry.
Psycho, when we saw that dude fall down the staircase, he
Oh,
definitely died down that staircase.
oh, yeah, yeah. That that reminds me. I saw some movie on TV yesterday where some man was dressing like an old woman, and he compared himself to Norman Bates, and I almost pissed myself laughing.
Well, yeah, but in any case, so she wakes up, and at first she's like, "Just let me go. I'll, I'll, we'll just chalk this up to, you having a couple of drinks. I'll forgive you. Yada yada yada."
Yeah.
She thinks that they're playing with her, and they end up playing a truth or dare game with her. What do you think about that truth or dare game?
Huh. Well, it was pretty interesting and rather scary at moments. That was a scene where we also see a darker side of Garrett, although maybe we could attribute it to the idea of him just being young and not knowing what he's doing.
Well,
Like,
Garrett had also drunk some oxycontin down, which is a drug that if you take too much of it can get a little.
oh,
A lot of people get high off of oxycontins.
Oh, I didn't know that. Sorry, I'm not an expert on drugs.
Well, when he was laying down and he was like, "You ought to feel this stuff." What is it again?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
so awesome. Is awesome a word?
Uh, uh, so yeah, I didn't quite catch on that. I didn't. I mean, I didn't know what that thing was in the first place. Now that I know it's a drug, it makes more sense.
But in any case, he's coming down off of that shit. So he offers some childish notion. Well, I dare you to touch her boob.
Yeah, yeah, that's why I said what I said. But yeah, no, that I know that he was high, it makes some more sense why he would say that.
Well, yeah, some of the dares and truths are more or less childish questions, like things that I don't know if I would have exactly asked or dared those things. And now that he's got her in this chair, he's gonna play around with her a little bit, a bit. um,
Yeah.
where he takes and marks her lipstick stick, and he complains about all the lotions that she's got. um,
Yeah, that's actually the scene where we gradually get to find out how messed up he really is.
well, yeah, he definitely is or has gone off his rocker just a bit at this point. I mean, once he actually physically harms her, is when we know. I mean, that is physically harming her. He whacked her down some stairs. I mean,
Yeah.
and tied her up. Do you think that people who love one another would do this to their significant other, even if they weren't reciprocating those feelings?
Probably not.
But he's gonna go with it. I mean, he obviously realizes this shit, and then, of course, the Ricky shows up. And what do you think about that moment where he doesn't allow him in, and then he's like, "Well, can you just give her these flowers?" And he's like, "Sure, just hand them through the door." And of
Well,
course, he
actually,
pushes his way through. And what do you think about Ricky as a character?
that scene when Ricky is introduced is another thing
Huh?
that I found. I'm sorry, did we have a sound glitch?
Yeah, glitch. Yeah, go ahead and
Uh,
repeat yourself.
Oh, I was going to say that scene when Ricky is introduced is another scene where I found it a bit unrealistic because the whole point of the movie is that Luke had the whole thing planned out in advance, but I thought it was a bit unrealistic that he predicted every single thing that Ricky was going to do. Like he, as far as we got to know, he didn't really know Ricky well enough to know exactly what Ricky was going to do and what he should do in each moment to make the whole thing happen the way he planned.
In his mind, I think he originally had this, no, um, a moment where I think he was trying to see what would make her realize that these douchebags are like no good for her, you know, and show her that he's the real man in the whole process. But that kind of like got knocked out the door once he tied her up and shit like that. Except I don't think he realized that she was not, feeling the love. So it's a
Yeah.
little, it's a real little redundant, but once um once Ricky goes up the stairs, and they have those couple of knockout moments where he picks up the bat and he knocks him out, but that knocks he gives him a good whack.
Yeah, I
But
think he knocks him
his,
out 2 or 3 times.
his second whack, he caught, and that's when his friend Garrett comes up the stairs with the shotgun, and that's when Ricky's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa! Don't kill me!" And that's when he goes and swings in for the count. Oh, but before that even happens, he stabs him with a pencil.
Oh yeah.
And then Garrett downstairs, Garrett ends up smoking some weed during the whole process, which pisses him off. You know, and it seems like Garrett just seems to do things that annoy him.
Yeah, he said that later.
But what did you think about this moment where he's got both of them tied up together? Both Ashley and Ricky.
Well, yeah, it was a part of the whole thing getting worse and worse and showing us more and more of what he was capable of doing.
Oh yeah, and apparently Ricky actually pissed in his pants.
Oh yeah, that was one of the few actually funny moments in the movie.
Okay, well, maybe that's what constituted as a comedy.
Maybe.
I mean, a little bit of comedy can go a long way, actually. Although most of this was actually really sadistic, so
pretty much.
But ultimately, they end up bringing his chair underneath the archway way that the stairs are directly like above, and so I guess Luke has this idea of swinging some cans of paint, just like in Home Alone, just to see if you swing it just right, if it'll knock his head off or something like that.
Yeah.
What do you think about this moment?
Well, I must say it was pretty gruesome when the second can of paint actually apparently smashed Ricky's head. Like from now on, whenever I watch Home Alone, I won't be able not to think of what happened to the poor Ricky here. That was pretty nasty.
Meanwhile, Ashley actually knocked over her chair and grabbed this piece of glass that was laying on the ground and has cut herself loose and grabbed the gun that Garrett had left on the counter and thought that she was going to get the upper hand when Ricky's head was smashed in. And that's when she realizes that I think it's kind of past the point of no return. And what do you think about what happens next?
Well, yeah. Then at one point she actually tries to shoot and realizes there are no bullets in the gun.
Well, and Luke says right back, well, hello, a perfect criminal would never leave the bullets inside.
Actually, I think he said something about that responsible parents put the ammo somewhere else, not where the gun is. Correct. I can't remember exactly how he said it, but
correct. And so she flings the gun, and then she runs outside, and apparently there are these carolers out there. And I don't know exactly what happens entirely, but apparently the brick that had been inside. Oh, yeah, the brick said. What did the brick say on the inside of the house?
It said, "You live, you die."
Yeah, that was something that I forgot to mention, that somebody had thrown a brick from the outside, and that was the noise that we had heard earlier. But who threw the brick? You know?
Huh. Well, actually, yeah. Yeah, I mean, uh, uh, until now, I didn't even know that the noise we heard had to do with the brick. But yeah, if it was just the
Well,
noise,
yeah,
we could.
Garrett's the one who brought the brick down, unless the brick had actually been somehow let loose at the house by a mechanism that maybe they had catapulted it to the window. I don't know, but you didn't see that, so that's something
Yeah.
that's kind of doesn't sync well with me. I don't know why. But the brick said, "You leave, you die." So but when she falls or whatnot, it looked like something had actually knocked her down. And we see that this brick that had been inside the house was actually broken in half. Like, what the hell happened there?
Oh,
But anyways, she gets
yeah.
dragged back inside the house, and we see Luke listening to the carolers. And he comes back inside and says something to the effect, it actually sounds like there's a few new people in the carolers this year. They actually sound like they're in sync.
Yeah.
I do like the fact that she's like, "How do you don't have a security alarm in here? This is a pretty good neighborhood. We're safe normally."
Yeah, well, they would have been safe if he hadn't been there.
But ultimately, um, there is one other boyfriend, ex-boyfriend that he's called to the house.
Oh,
What
yeah.
what do you think about Jeremy?
Huh, well, he kind of comes across as a jerk, but he definitely didn't deserve what he got.
Well, yeah, he shows up drunk. He has a couple of more beers while he's there, and then and he's dressed like a white boy who wants to be a boy of color. So, um,
I
well,
didn't pay
he's
attention to
he's
that.
he's got the hat that has the sticker still on it. The whole reason why they keep the sticker on there is to make it look like they just stole it. So that's why they keep the sticker on the hat.
Oh, I didn't pay attention to that. I forgot there was a sticker.
Yeah, he had his hat flipped around. He looked like he was wearing something that a boy or man of color would wear on the north side of town.
Oh,
At least where we live. The north side is
oh,
where maybe it's because I live in Milwaukee, and there's always a difference in where you live and where white people live and where um, Spanish people live, and
oh,
each people of color has a different area that they live in normally, and it's when they're it's kind of weird, but I don't know. Anyways,
I,
maybe I
yeah,
make
I
more of
didn't
it
know.
than there is, but I
Well,
noticed
I'm
that he.
not sure. I actually didn't know much about it myself. I mean, as you know, I'm from Croatia, and I wasn't familiar with these things you mentioned now. So yeah, I didn't actually pay attention to those details in the movie.
Yeah, well, in any case, he shows up and he ultimately Luke tells him to write his apology down, which I thought it was kind of interesting that he actually did apologize. Although I don't think that was the apology that he was looking for. Like to me, I think it would have been better if he would have written like more specific things that he was apologetic for, you know. But he
Uh,
was a little bit too drunk to think, anyways. But what happened to him?
well, when he finished writing the apology, Luke tied a rope around his neck and he activated, what was it,
A
a
track.
tractor?
Yep. Looks like a riding lawnmower.
Yeah, and he hung Jeremy on a tree or something, if I remember correctly. So yeah, he killed him and made the apology look like a suicide note.
And then ultimately during these moments we see that Garrett is inside the home. He has just witnessed. Well, he's still getting over the fact that his best friend killed Ricky, and how they're gonna get out of that situation when you know um, Ashley is tied up and Christmas lighted to a chair,
Yeah.
and she tries to talk to him, and at first he's like, "No, I don't want to hear it." But then eventually he um, untapes her mouth, and she basically tells him, "Hey, it's because you're a good person," and all that jazz. And he gives her a kiss on the cheek, which ultimately incites Luke's jealousy. Uh,
Oh yeah.
which what happens here?
Well, look, Garrett. I'm sorry. Garrett eventually tries to untie Ashley, but Luke shows up and shoots him. And uh,
And then he shoots him again, and at first he shows some kind of emotion, but then he like you can see that he is in control of his emotions because all of a sudden he sobers up and he's like, "You were starting to irritate me, anyways."
yeah, that was pretty nasty.
But ultimately, he goes over to Ashley, and what does he do?
Well, actually, like I said earlier, that was one scene that, to me personally, didn't make enough sense, and where I think they kind of failed to portray Luke's psychology properly. Like throughout the whole movie, apparently, he was doing the whole thing because he had a crush on Ashley, and she turned him down, and he was taking revenge or whatever. But then in that scene when he was all alone with her and she was tied up, after everything we had seen, we would have expected him to try something of that nature with her. At that moment, I thought he was going to try to rape her or something, but before he even tried anything like that, he slashed her neck, which is something I thought didn't make sense for someone to do after everything he did beforehand.
Well, no, he'd already gone past the point of no return already. I mean, he killed the boyfriend friends, and still she didn't have any feelings towards him that he had wanted. So in a sense, he almost killed them for no reason. And when he realized that she wasn't going to return his affections anytime soon, or things were not going to go back to whence they were, when maybe she liked him a little.
Mm,
uh, if she actually said, while she was sitting there, you were never going to let me go, were you?
yeah.
And I think that that is in reference to her leaving, his life entirely. He didn't want that.
Huh.
So if she couldn't have, if he couldn't have her affection, then he wasn't going to let her live.
Hmm. Yeah, probably.
And I think it eventually became about this whole thing about being able to get away with murder.
Yeah, although I still think we should have gotten at least some more backstory of Luke. I mean, there even is this one scene where he mentions something about how his mother used to tuck him in, but then she just stopped doing that and so on. And at that point, I thought we were finally going to get some insight into his mind and find out how or why he became the way he is. But then Ashley says something. I know why she did that, but then she closes her eyes and stops talking. And yeah, at that point, I was especially surprised that Luke slashed her neck at that point. Like, it would have made more sense if if it was more important to him to find out why his mother had stopped doing that. I would have expected him to push her more to answer the question. I definitely didn't expect him to try to kill her without getting that answer.
So after it seems like, well, much of what had happened, he made it look like somebody had attacked, or come in and attacked, or some no matter what, he made it out to seem like one of them had actually done all the killing, or whatnot.
Well,
What do you think about the moment where his parents came in, and it seemed like you know he had really gotten away with all of this?
Well, it was obvious that he was planning to frame Jeremy for the whole thing, because even before Jeremy turned up, Luke took Ashley's phone and posted on her Facebook something about. He made it look like she was saying that Jeremy is creeping her out and some things like that. And then he got Jeremy there and killed him and got the apparent suicide note made and so on. So yeah, I think he was planning to blame Jeremy for the whole thing. And yeah, it looked like he got away with it, but then yeah, Ashley survived. Which made us think that maybe he wasn't going to get away with it. But then, yeah, we get this scene after the first credits where he said they should visit Ashley at the hospital, which obviously implies that he is going to try to kill her there. And yeah, it's an open ending, and we don't get to find out what happened at the end. And I kind of think that was screaming for a sequel to be made, but as far as I know, there isn't one.
Well, yeah, as far as I know, there isn't one either. But there's definitely room to possibly go out and try to do try to do a sequel to it, like somewhere down the road. Which
Yeah.
I hope that he does return to the story, because I think that there is something in that. This is also the director of another movie called Undocumented, which I haven't watched yet. And I think he's the director of another short film called Alive and Well. Just to say that, yeah, Undocumented, which is a horror film. Looks like a found footage film kind of thing. A documentary crew accompany a group of undocumented immigrants crossing the border, but their plans run afoul when they are captured by a gang of sadistic radicals in New Mexico. So, that was, and I do think I have that movie. Maybe down the road we could check that out. But in any case, other than that, what did you think about the special effects in the film? Were there any special effects, do you think?
Well, actually, now that I think about it, well, there was the scene of Ricky getting stabbed in the cheek with a pencil.
That was more of a practical effect, not
Oh,
a
oh
special
well,
effect.
yeah, you're right. But yeah, other than that, I can't really think of anything.
I'm
They,
not sure if there was much of special effects in here, like CGI or anything like that per se.
yeah, I think there wasn't. All the gore happened off screen. Like Ricky supposedly got decapitated, which we didn't quite see. Well, we saw the paint, the yellow paint, getting mixed with his blood, and I think it was Luke who said that his head exploded. But
Who
yeah,
knows? It may be possible that it was Garrett, the actor, throwing a can of paint against the wall. You know they do that sometimes.
maybe.
But in any case, okay. Now let's talk favorite scenes. If there was a favorite scene in this film, what would you take from it?
Phew. Well, that's a very good question. I will have to think. Yeah, it's difficult to choose a favorite scene when my favorite scenes are usually the ones where justice is served, which doesn't really happen in this movie.
No, it
Uh,
definitely does not.
uh, yeah, but in that case, I guess I will have to go with the scene that shocked me the most, and I guess that would be the scene where Ricky got killed, because that was when we realized how much of a psycho Luke really was. Like that was the first time he actually killed a person.
I have two moments. The moment when the spider crawls all over her face. I don't know. I just get a kick out of that one. It's just her almost falling, and then you see that spider like crawling all over her face, and she's screaming bloody murder because the spider is on her face. That was kind of laughable.
Oh yeah, yeah. Now that you mention laughable moments, I also liked the scene with Luke's father, where we saw him. He wanted to hang some weird-looking ornament on the Christmas tree, and he seemed like a funny guy, but we didn't get to see much of him after that.
My second one will have to be, oh, um, uh, after Ricky peed in his pants.
Oh, yeah, that was good.
Luke came back after cleaning it and was like, "Man, that really stunk, reeky."
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. That was kind of funny. I always like good puns.
But I think that was a moment that I liked. I mean, um, I did like I like the fact that he did pay an homage to Home Alone just a little bit. The director in there with that whole head splash moment. But other than that, I mean, this was a fairly decent, you know, kind of a slasher film, except it was more or less like if you took like The Good Son and mix it with a
Oh,
film called The Collector.
I haven't seen The Collector, but yeah, I did see The Good Son, and I was reminded of that movie while watching this one, and I actually like The Good Son a lot. I think it's a great thriller, and one thing that I find really interesting about it is that whenever I tell someone about it and I say Macaulay Culkin, I'm sorry, is that how the name is pronounced?
Yep.
Yeah, whenever I say that Macaulay Culkin plays the villain and that the movie is from 1993 when the actor was of Kevin McAllister's age, more or less, then the other person usually says that he is a bad guy. I don't think I can take that character seriously then. And then I say, yeah, keep that mindset and go watch the movie. You'll be surprised.
Oh yeah. You know what's funny is that Macaulay Culkin is now like 40 years old.
Oh, oh
It's
yeah.
it's weird thinking about it that way, but yeah. He definitely did grow up. Um, and I'm not entirely sure. See, after Party Monster, I think he started not getting many roles.
Um, yeah, I didn't really do much research on him, but I do remember vaguely hearing something about him having a really difficult life. I think he even struggled with drug addiction, from what I heard, if I remember correctly.
I think so. And I know that he runs a wrestling podcast, from what I understand, as well.
Oh,
Even into his 40s. So, and um, I guess that's where he is these days. And I think the last movie that he was really in was called Saved, which was kind of a religious movie. So
well, I haven't seen that one.
neither have I, and I don't think I own it either. I'll have to see if I can pick it up eventually. I know I've got Party Monster, and I know I've got some of his younger films, like Uncle Buck. Uncle Buck was pretty good.
Oh,
Anything with John Candy in it is good. So, which in any case, let's see. What about music? Did you think the music went well with it?
oh yeah. Yeah, there was some Christmas music that's expectable when it is a Christmas movie.
Yep. Let's see. Annihilate Me, written by Claude Hay, performed by the Gentle Enemies. Christmas Will Be Just Another Day. Carol of the Bells, performed by Leckie Arts Choir. Joy to the World. Let's see. Deck the Halls. Here We Come a Caroling, The First Noel. Ain't We Got Fun. Music by Richard A. Whiting. and Merry Christmas, I Don't Want to Fight Tonight, performed by the Ramones, composed by Joey Ramone. But hey, I kind of like the Ramones being in this movie. But in any case, let's see. What about okay? Let's see. So here's some trivia. Oh, I did forget to mention this. Evidently, Olivia DeJonge and Ed Oxenbould also starred together as siblings in The Visit.
Oh, I'm sorry, Olivia and who?
Ed Oxenbould. I'm trying to see who Ed Oxenbould was. Okay, so Ed Oxenbould was Garrett.
Oh, I
So
get it.
the girl who played Ashley and the boy who played Garrett were siblings in M. Night Shyamalan's The Visit.
Cool.
I didn't recognize the kid. I recognized the girl, Ashley, from that movie, and that was kind of like a interesting film. Originally titled Safe Neighborhood, evidently, this film was originally titled that.
Oh, this one, better watch out.
Oh, and of course, these are all the references to Home Alone. Throughout the movie, Christmas carols, spiders, and pink hands being thrown.
Ooh, yeah. And the last scene, I would also say when I remember Home Alone ends with Kevin looking out through the window as Harry and Marv are being taken away, and in this one we also have Luke looking out through the window as the ambulance is taking Ashley away.
Of the 7 key cast, only Patrick Warburton and Virginia Madsen are from the US. The rest are Australian actors.
Whoa.
So I guess this is a movie from Australia. In real life, Olivia DeJonge and Levi Miller, that would be Luke and Ashley, are only 4 years apart. Let's see. Oh, okay. So the position of door handles in Australia have been a source for fascination for overseas visitors. When filming the 2017 horror movie in Australia called Better Watch Out, American director and writer Chris Peckover mentioned door handle height in an online interview. He claimed they were so abnormally high, his eyes were constantly drawn to them. They were a source of frustration and detracted him from filming.
Oh my.
I didn't even notice the high door handles. Oh, and
neither did I.
Luke drawing lips on Ashley's taped mouth echoes something that happens to Drew Barrymore's character in Charlie's Angels. Also, both women break the chairs they are tied to and use them as weapons against their captors.
Huh. Oh, yeah, I didn't notice that.
But in any case, did you have anything else that you wanted to talk about this film?
I'm not sure. I did want to compare it to Home Alone and to The Good Son, obviously, but I think I have said everything that I was going to say. like I said, I really enjoyed this movie a lot. I just wish it did a better job at providing some more insight into Luke's psychology and of how he became the way he is. That's my only complaint about the movie. But other than that, it was really good. I watched it earlier today for the first time, and when it was over for the next half an hour or so, I was like, fucking hell.
Which is exactly what you told me when you talked to me this morning. Well, when you talked to me this morning, you were like, "Fucking hell!" I
just well, yeah, definitely.
So it's definitely a movie that you can watch during the holiday season because it is around Christmas time, and I thought this was a neat little interlude instead of going straight into the Home Alone atmosphere, which, ladies and gentlemen, we'll probably be discussing next this January. So look out for that discussion. And hopefully you enjoyed our ramblings on this film. I thought this was a decent film for the holidays.
Well, actually, yeah. I mean, if you hear someone say something like "I'm tired of all these generic Christmas comedies," you can say, "Oh, then I have a Christmas movie you might want to watch."
Well, I didn't realize that it was originally called Safe Neighborhood. So
yeah, I didn't know that either.
but in any case, I guess there are a couple of quotes here. Honestly, Robert, this is so metrosexual. No, there's no such word. It's a metrosexual.
Yeah, that was one of the funny moments.
Or Ashley, what delusional infant thinks a break-in is going to get you to second base?
Yeah, she had no idea.
Only reason to read this stuff is for the pictures. It's a plus. I know what women like. Dude, what? She's like twice your age. I really don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, what you said earlier about the age difference being only 4 years in real life, and it's uh, uh, I mean, if he was born in two, then he's actually 18 years old now, so now he could go hit on her without turning all psycho.
That's true. I mean, it would be kind of weird if suddenly they got together or whatnot after, after so long. See it in the Hollywood Reporter being like, well, Levi and what is her name in real
I
life?
think you mentioned Olivia something. I
Yeah,
forgot.
Olivia and Levi are now together after um, a psychotic episode in a movie.
Yeah, that would probably be a good advertisement for the movie.
Oh yeah, for sure. In any case, um, if you don't know it by now, we're obviously going to spoil every single film that we're probably going to go on about, but you can definitely use this particular discussion probably along as a guideline, a line, or as something funny, as a gag, maybe to thwart your holiday spirit. So thank
Yeah,
you, ladies and gentlemen, for
again,
listening
just
listening to our prattle,
yeah,
and hopefully you just enjoy the holiday season. So you better watch out.
yeah, definitely.